Well, hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar about tactics for building and nurturing community online. Like I said, my name is Jeremy Demers, and I'm the Director of Marketing here at Small World Labs. During today's webinar, if you have any questions, please use the chat box that's available in the webinar console. We'll answer those questions either as we go along or at the end of the call. Today's webinar is chock full of great, ready-to-use tactics that you can put to use to improve your organization's online community building strategy, regardless of whether you're currently using just your website, email, social media, as well as if you're using or considering an online community platform. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Michael Wilson. Michael is the CEO and founder of Small World Labs. Michael founded Small World Labs back in 2006 with the goal of providing organizations with the collaborative technology and solutions necessary to better connect with and empower their members and supporters, in a manner similar to which Michael saw early internet technologies empower his deaf parents and connect them with the outside world. Prior to Small World Labs, Michael was the Director of Product Management at Coremetrics, which is now the webinar analytics platform for IBM. He was also a management consultant at R.B. Weber & Company in Silicon Valley, and he built return on investment models as an independent consultant. Michael has a BA in economics from Yale University and completed studies in international economics at Oxford University. In addition to his responsibilities at Small World Labs, Michael is also on the board of the Texas School for the Deaf Foundation. And with that, I'll turn it over to Michael.
Thanks, Jeremy. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I'll start off with just a little bit about Small World Labs. So Small World Labs provides Small World Labs Community, which is an online community and social collaboration platform designed to provide organizations with new ways to engage, connect, and collaborate with their top supporters and members online. We provide a range of upfront and ongoing services to help ensure that every community project is successful, including social business strategy to ensure that each community is created with goals and outcomes in mind, as well as community engagement services to ensure that each community is vibrant, it achieves a positive ROI, and is successful. We have the platform, technology, and skill set to empower successful communities for some of the largest nonprofits and associations, some of which you can see here, but also the flexibility and a la carte delivery methodology needed to work with smaller organizations. And with that as prologue, we'll get started. So today we're going to talk about how organizations can build and nurture communities online, the tools that enable this, and the best practices for using them. We're going to cover a lot of information. Some will be basic, some will be advanced, but my goal is that every one of you, regardless of your sophistication level, will leave today having learned something that you can put to use at your organization. And given our focus on real-world community building tactics, we'll use some for this presentation. So if you are on Twitter and would like to tweet about or during this presentation, I am at Wilson Michael, and I work for at Small World Labs. And the hashtag for today's session is #SWL webinar. So to effectively carry out their missions, organizations need to be able to reach out to people and bring them together. We call these people your constituents. So similar to how congressmen have constituents that they serve, you have constituents that you serve. And these constituents are often broken down into 4 areas. These are your supporters and members, staff, mission, the people, issues, and causes represented by what you do if you're a nonprofit charity, and your partners. And the better that your organization can reach out to, engage with, and collaborate with these groups, the more effective you can be at achieving your mission. So we want to engage our constituents, and the engagement pyramid, which is on the screen now, is a very effective way of adding structure to and thinking about this engagement process. So we're going to use the engagement pyramid paradigm throughout this presentation. So let's go through it a little bit. So your constituents start off in the observing role. And here they become first aware of your organization through some method, by seeing information about it, hearing about it from someone else, or some other manner. Next, they officially take a step and start to follow your organization. And as followers, the transaction item here is they are now eligible to receive your direct communication. Next, they become endorsers. And as endorsers, they have taken their first public action on your part. But these actions are of the simple and transactional nature. And through consistent and relevant communication, their interactions become more habitual and more repeated, and their contributions become more thoughtful, with more time dedicated to each contribution. The next stage in the engagement pyramid is owning. As an owner, a person is fully invested in the mission and success of your organization. Sorry, I think we've got got a little bit of feedback. We'll get worked out. So as an owner, a person is fully invested in the mission and success of your organization, and they think about it as their own, and they truly want you to succeed. And at the top end of the pyramid is leading, and at this point, you have developed your most valuable supporters, your leaders, and they help carry your mission out to others and lead them to do the same. And each of these stages in the engagement pyramid lend themselves well to online engagement techniques, which, when used effectively, help move your constituents up the engagement pyramid, and that's what we're going to talk about today. How to use specific online tools and techniques to move your constituents up the engagement pyramid. And we'll have a heavy emphasis on measurement, so this becomes less of an idea and more of a science. So where do we start? We'll start at the bottom and work our way up, just like you do with your constituents. So first we'll look at engagement options available for observers. This is the most basic level. So here you want to make sure that you're taking a data-driven approach, looking at your website analytics, which you can get for free with Google Analytics. It has a ton of options and capabilities. You can spend a lot of time in there. Social media analytics, which you can get for free in the admin panel of your Facebook page or in your Twitter account. And here, this is basic stuff, so we're not going to spend much time on it, but a key point here is that you want to make sure that you're analyzing your observing performance by quantity or aggregate measures, as well as quality. So quantity being on an absolute basis how much is happening, and quality being measures for how engaging each visit or each interaction is on average. For organizations that are using Twitter, there are ways to improve the appearance or observation of tweets that contain links to your organization's web pages. And these are called Twitter cards. Twitter cards are what make tweets with links to your community or website not look like this, but like this. And as you might expect, this is a more visually engaging way to get in front of observers as they view tweets about you. And the way you do this is to log into your Twitter account. There's a gear icon in the upper left. You click the gear icon and you select Twitter Ads. That opens up a new window that you're going to have to provide your password again. And if you look under the Analytics tab for websites, there you'll find the area where you can create the code to paste into the head section of your website. And there you go. Now, there are other paid options for Twitter cards and lead generation forms that are under this ad area. But doing this optimization that we just talked about here is free. And it will also include click tracking to your Twitter analytics. Give me just a second. I hear a little bit of, we got some feedback, so maybe we need to check the audio here. Okay.
Nobody else is on. I don't understand.
Who's doing that? Run around to the sales guys and see if anybody's logged in. You muted everybody?
I mean, everybody's muted.
All right. Sorry about that. We're trying to figure out. We've got everybody muted. Okay. Well, with that, we'll continue on. But pardon if you hear any feedback or background noise. So the last area that we'll look at for the observing stage is advertising. So great. So it looks like Christy Jones just said that sounds better. So thanks, Christy. The last area here that we're looking at in the observing stage is advertising. So if your organization happens to be a 501c3 and you aren't using Google Grants, then this should be the first thing that you do. And just go to google.com/grants. You have to go through a registration process, but after you do, Google will give you up to $10,000 per month. Technically, it's $329 per day. They meter it by day. But $10,000 per month to use on AdWords. Now, if you're already using Google Grant, you want to make sure that you are maximizing the usage and optimizing the results through ad and campaign variations. So maximizing the usage, remember it's $329 per day, so you want to make sure that you're hitting that every day. And optimizing the results, you have the ability to do A/B testing and multivariate campaigns and ads, and you want to optimize based on what the results are. Facebook and Twitter have advertising options through paid ads and sponsored posts, but given the Google Grant, we're not going to go into those today. The next step is following. So how do we get users to discreetly follow us or directly provide us with their contact information so that we can start to have a direct relationship with them? The first step in following online is to get the visitor's contact information through your website. That enables you to establish that ongoing one-on-one communication. How you do this matters. Weber Communications, an email marketing agency, made the modification that you can see on the screen here to one of their clients' web pages, which started with what you see on the left, which was a button to click to go to a request information form, and changed it to the inline form that you see on the right. This simple change, moving from button to inline form, produced a 73% increase in subscriptions. And you can go a step further. So here you see a sign-up form from UNICEF, but notice they also give you a reason to sign up. So sign up for e-news. And for people that are wondering, well, why should I subscribe, or I want more information, they include a why subscribe link, which takes you to a page where you can still sign up. It doesn't take you outside the conversion path, and clearly explains the benefits to signing up, but it also provides you with, given you've clicked to engage at a deeper level, more information sharing options. Zip code for geographical targeting, mobile phone for text messages, and it also lets you know how they will use and not use your information. And these contact forms are often neglected, but optimizing them can have a significant impact on broadening your base. I'm sure you've come across our friends, the Lightbox. So while these can be perceived as interruptive or annoying, the reason they exist is because they are very effective. The lift from Lightboxes varies, but many organizations report a 7x increase in subscription rates when moving from an inline form to a Lightbox form.
Left turn ahead.
Now that you've built out your contact list, also known as a house list, and you've got thousands of people that want to hear from you, it's time to use it. And using it starts with email. There are a lot of information and best practices out there, so I'll just concentrate on the basics and the items that have the biggest impact. So the first thing you have to accomplish is to get people to open your email. And that's based on having an effective from name, from email, subject line, preview panel text. and make sure your from name is recognizable. Yeah, it sounds like, so we're hearing, Scott, thanks for the heads up. It sounds like somebody is online and maybe in their car or moving around. And we've tried to mute everyone, but could everybody just make sure that they have muted on their line, especially if you're traveling around, maybe you're in a mobile phone, just mute the phone, and we'll see if that picks it up. All right, looks like I think we're good. Great. So you want to make sure your from name is recognizable, and that typically means your organization's name, or if it's someone who's recognizable from your organization, and you want to use the from name consistently. You want to make sure you avoid the big no-nos of using generic names like info, admin, webmaster, or marketing. And you also want to make sure that you send it from an actual live email account. People will reply to your marketing emails, and some organizations make the mistake of using do not reply email addresses that aren't monitored or don't exist. And doing so causes a breakage in the potential engagement loop. Extra time spent on the subject line is worth it. 50% of readers decide whether or not they're going to open an email based on the subject line alone. So make it descriptive, make it accurate, make it short, make it effective. And so to further that point, here's a real-world example from this webinar that you all have been involved with. So we sent 2 emails for this webinar. One, the first email with the subject line Tactics for Building and Nurturing Community Online, which you see in blue. And then that was followed up a week later with an email subject line was next Wednesday. And you can see the performance difference. Open rate, 61% difference. Click rate, 39% difference. Now there was a little bit of strategy here. You don't want to just put all of your emails with next Wednesday. We had some incremental collaboration here where the first email was more descriptive and the second email built off of it. But doing A/B testing and making modifications and optimizations ongoing has a big impact. And this is without varying any of the content of the email. You also want to check your intro text. So many email programs have default templates that automatically add pre-header text with words like having trouble read this email, view it in a browser. But you can see how it appears to the user. The email at the top is losing an opportunity to communicate and provide. It's losing an opportunity to communicate more information, and it provides no additional reason for why the recipient should open it. While this email from the American Heart Association provides text that helps place the email in context. And the AHA email is much more likely to be opened as a result. When people click, you want to be aware that many of them are going to see your email without images. Images are good to include in emails. They help with the overall look and feel and style, but you want to make sure that your pre-image load view is still understandable and legible. You don't want to do what you see on the screen here, which is essentially mark and then blank and then footer. So don't do this. Now, there's some very recent information that's relevant here that's within the last 2 months. Gmail started to load images automatically, so this will become less of an issue for Gmail recipients, but it remains an issue for other email clients, so we continue to recommend not doing full image emails or emails that are hard to understand without the images loaded as a best practice. Next, we'll look at how to gain followers through Facebook. So here we have the like box on the left side and the like button on the right side. So both can exist on your website, but they do different things. If a visitor clicks the like in the like box on the left, they like your organization's Facebook page and they become your Facebook fan. However, if a visitor clicks the like button on the right, this appears as a single transaction action on their timeline. They like the page. They do not become a fan of your Facebook page. It's a single transaction. They have not become your follower and are not eligible for updates. Now, there's an exception here, and this is a little bit advanced, but if for some reason you want to get Facebook fans from your website and don't want to use all the real estate that the like box requires, you can modify the code in the like button and switch out the URL of the page it's on for the URL of your Facebook page. So it looks like we have a question here, which is, great, pull it at the bottom, from Kevin. Love to see some examples of non-image dependent emails. Yeah, so there's a couple ways to do that. So first of all, what you want to do is absolutely avoid the no-no of an email that is nothing more than an image. The second thing is, as you're using images to place within your email, it's often, we recommend as a best practice, to use the alt text to actually let the user know that it's an image. So the alt text for the image would be bracket, image, colon, very, very, very short description of what the image is. So when the reader sees the email, they can actually see, oh, so there are images that should be here, and that gives further reason for why they should download images and see the entire email. So hope that helps. But thanks for the question, Kevin. Continuing with the following. So Facebook users can also like your Facebook page from the Facebook page itself. We got a question from Lillian. So how do I switch out the URL code for the Facebook like button on my website? So there's two components to this. So one is, if you're looking to switch the code that's actually in your website, it's going to be dependent upon what platform you're building your website on. However, if you want to do what we were talking about right here, which is use the like button and make it work like the like box, what you have to do is, in the code for the like button, it normally pulls automatically from the current page that it's on, and you would paste in, or hard code paste in, the URL for your Facebook page. And Pam has a question: how do you get the like box versus the like button? Log in to Facebook, and using your it's available in multiple areas, but if you just search for Facebook like box or Facebook like button, that'll point you towards it. Also, if you log in as a page administrator, you'll get links toward that. And Pam, we can follow up with afterwards. We'll send you some direct URLs. So Facebook users can like your Facebook page from the Facebook page itself. And if they click the gear on the gear button on the page, they can also share it onto their activity stream. However, another way that you can promote your Facebook page is through Facebook page administrators. So all Facebook page administrators can proactively invite any or all of their friends to like the page. So one is sharing it into your timeline. The other is actually pushing it out to all of their friends. And so because of this, and this is much more effective, you may want to give Facebook page administrator access to more people at your organization so that they can do this as well. On Twitter, to build your follower base, a couple of basic items. First, find people to follow. So find people that are relevant to your organization, your donors, your members, your volunteers, your partners. Everybody loves to see their name in lights, so use @mentions in your tweets, give out retweets, favorite people's tweets, use hashtags, like what we're doing today. Hashtags cause your tweets to appear in a hashtag stream that non-followers may be watching. And then you also want to check your Twitter trends block to see if any trending hashtags are good candidates for you to follow or include. The next area is lists. So if you start to follow a lot of people very quickly, your main Twitter stream can become bloated. And Twitter enables you to create different segments, or what they call lists, of people that you follow, so that you can view updates from only people in that list or segment. And these lists can be public, meaning everybody in the Twitterverse can see who's in your list or not, or private, where only you can see that. In the offline world, people talk about multi-channel marketing and communication, and that extends into the online world with creating an integrated multi-channel online approach. And this starts with including links to your social media accounts on your website or community, links to your community or website on your social media accounts, and cross links across social media accounts to each other. You want to make it easy for people to find you everywhere. And as it relates to how to include these, we have some follow us best practices. So you want to distinguish your follow us on buttons or calls to action from your social sharing, share this page buttons. Multiple ways to do that. A simple one is just to start off with the lead in, follow us or follow us on. The next stage is to take this direct relationship and convert your followers into endorsers. So those people that provide an implicit endorsement of your organization by liking and sharing your information. Social media channels are fantastic for the reach that they have. There's over 1.15 billion accounts on Facebook, over 500 million Twitter accounts, and the way to take advantage of that reach is to make your content and your updates engageable. So here we have a pretty creative image that's been uploaded by the American Heart Association, and notice that they aren't bashful about asking for endorsement. Their request to, quote, share this post if you've ever felt this way, led to 2,154 likes. Now, they've also taken advantage of the highlight option to make this image span both columns in their Facebook page. Another best practice for building engagement on your Facebook page is using images. So here you can notice two posts by the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life on the same day. Both contain links to pages on the cancer.org website. The one on the left doesn't contain an image. The one on the right does. And again, these are shared pages, but one where the image populated well and one where it didn't. And the posted link with the image gained 25% more likes and 187% more comments. So people react more when there's some sort of visual cue that's included. And to take that concept even further, when you add images, be sure to, in your introductory text, to include associated links. So here is an example you can see on the Small World Labs Facebook page from a while back. Instead of sharing a link to a page, which brings in a smaller image and auto-populates the link, we uploaded a photo and then in the intro text linked to their online community in the text description area. And you'll notice that we ended the post with an interaction. Let us know if you'll be there. Always encourage engagement. Now, there's no guarantee that anybody's going to see this post, and the reason for that is something called Facebook's EdgeRank. So we've got a question from Lillian. Can you say more about the highlight option on Facebook? What is it and how do we find it? Sure. So if we go up to slide, well, we've cut it out here. When you make a post to your Facebook page, you'll see that it by default will show up in one of the 50% columns that you've got in the page. But you've got a little indicator, I think by memory it's a star button, and if you click that star button that will actually make it full screen or span both columns. There's also some best practices for the size of image that you want to include so that it looks the best in there. There was an earlier question from Kirk about the more effective social sharing buttons using the top networks or an all-encompassing widget like Add This. We're actually going to get into this later. We recommend having one that's integrated into your platform, community platform ideally, so that all the data is tied together. So we'll come back to that a few slides into the future. But thanks for the question, Kirk. So, as we were saying, we're making all these posts. It's great, building engagement, lots of reach, but there's no guarantee that anybody's going to see this post, and the reason for that is what's called Facebook's edge rank. So, if you've ever wondered why some organizations and some people's posts don't appear in your personal news stream, the reason for that is edge rank. So Facebook uses an algorithm that determines what appears and doesn't appear in each person's news stream. And the specific numbers in the algorithm are confidential, but it's calculated by the product of affinity, which is a numerical value for the relationship between the viewer and the creator, weight, which is based on the interaction the update has. So how many likes, how many shares, how many comments, etc. And then finally decay, which is how long ago the original post was made. And because of all of that, it can be difficult to make your posts appear in your followers or fans' news streams to keep people coming back to your fan page. In fact, only 16% of, on average, your Facebook page's fans see your posts, and less than 5% of them ever visit your page after liking it. Now, for you, the Facebook gurus, we'll go into this additional level of detail. So in August, Facebook announced an update to its EdgeRank system that included two things. Story bumping, which means that older stories can bump to the top of the feed as engagement builds. So the feed becomes a little bit less time-based. And Facebook did this because they found that most posts previously died after only 3 hours in terms of engagement. And the second is what's called Last Actor. And with Last Actor, Facebook in that affinity score is putting more prominence on the posts made by the 50 accounts that you last interacted with. So previously, you got a bump if your posts for your posts if the recipient had ever interacted with a post from your organization over all time. Now there's an extra weight for the last 50 accounts that they've interacted with. So what does this mean? These changes mean that good content can live longer, and also you want to do what you can to be one of the last 50 accounts that have interacted with your fans. Next, we're going to look at the admin area for Facebook pages. So Facebook provides an admin console area at the top of Facebook pages with recent posts and other sections. One section is Insights, which is Facebook's analytics reports. You can see some visual graphs here from Insights. Reach is the number of people who have seen your post. A couple things to keep in mind. The figures here are for the first 28 days after a post's publication, and they include people who are viewing your post on both desktop and mobile. Your post counts if it as having reached someone when it's loaded and shown in their news feed. So in that area, Facebook has the ability to determine that versus Twitter actually doesn't. Now, the data from prior to July 2nd, 2012, so we're a little while back now, so about a year and a half, but prior to July 2nd, 2012, it only included viewing data from the desktop, meaning if people were viewing your posts on the mobile phone, that did not register in the analytics. So if you're doing any sort of year over year or month last year or month this year analysis, you want to keep that in mind. A key thing about Facebook is it also lets you export the data into Excel, which you can see here. And it's helpful to export to Excel because you can start to create derived statistics in your own dashboards. So when analyzing across social media, the three metrics that I like to look at are applause rate, which for Facebook would be number of likes per post, conversation rate, which for Facebook would be comments per post, and amplification rate, which for Facebook would be shares per post. Now, a lot of people don't even look at these, and many people that are looking at these stop here. But the problem with that is, how do you compare performance over time if your audience is growing, which generally it is. And to do this, you need to use the downloaded reports and normalize these metrics on a per fan basis. That way you can look at, hey, how did this post really perform on an engagement perspective versus one I did 6 months ago when we had fewer fans. Last thing to note here is that all data is based on Pacific time. Facebook's in California. So when you do downloads of per day information, it's going to be based as of midnight Pacific time. You also want to make sure that the metadata on your website pages is set up to populate correctly. So on the left, we have the results of what I call well-formed metadata. A page has been shared, the page title is pulling in, the title of the video being shared, the description of the item being shared is populating, and an image thumbnail is available. Now on the right side, you see the results of poorly formed metadata. The page title is generic. Spotlight event details is something that likely came from the platform that it was based on. It's the same generic title across all event pages. There's no description that populates. And finally, there's not an image available that's specific to what's being shared, only the overall generic site logo. So there's a much higher likelihood that the user will abandon the share at this stage. So you want to do what's on the left, or you want to make sure that your metadata is set up to do what's on the left, not on the right. Now, a little advanced item here is if you are sharing your own and you really want to modify this, you can modify the page title by clicking on it and the page description. A lot of people don't realize that, and then post. You can modify everything except for the URL. But again, if you're relying on people to share your pages, which is where you get the big amplification lift, they're not going to do it, and they're either going to share it as is, or more likely they're going to abandon it at this stage. There's a question from Jennifer. Is there coding that you put on your website to make sure that the correct image pulls in? So this is, there's a couple of things. So the metadata, so when I talk about metadata, what that means is in the head tags of the website, and if you just talk to your webmaster, they'll be able to help you with that. But it pulls metadata from the page title and the page description. So you want to make sure that those have content, or if it's a dynamic website, which most are, that it's auto-pulling in the right information. The second thing is you can also look at Facebook has some additional items that they use to pull from those, and using those you can optimize and test that. But net, if you're working with anybody, you can call us afterwards as well. We'd be happy to look at what your website looks like right now, or your webmaster should be able to get it right. Continuing in the endorsing area, retweets. If you want retweets or replies, you need to do a little math. Twitter limits you to 140 characters total, so you need to leave 6 characters plus your username for retweets, as well as room for comments. So if you have 6 characters plus 15, for the username, that's 140 minus 121, 119. General rule of thumb, try to keep your tweets under 110 characters. Under 100 if you can manage it. Next, we've got some Twitter statistics just for benchmarking purposes. So on average, 5% of tweets are retweeted, and virtually all of those happen within 1 hour of the original tweet. There's a slight inverse correlation between tweet length and retweet frequency, with tweets under 100 characters being interacted with 17% more often. Links are big. If you've got a link in your tweet, the engagement tends to be 86% higher. Hashtags are big as well. Having a hashtag produced a correlation to the largest engagement lift, on average doubling the engagement. Now, if you want to look at your own stats, Twitter has recently also released its own native Twitter analytics. To access it, you kind of have to know this, but you go to the ads.twitter.com using the same gear drop-down that I mentioned earlier when we talked about Twitter cards. You'll get a report like the one that you see here that includes a number of favorites, retweets, and replies for your various tweets. It also includes the ability to download the data through CSV or Excel, which I'm a fan of because you can't sort the data on screen here with Twitter, plus what we talked about before. And again, I like to look at these 3 key performance statistics across social media channels: applause rate, conversation rate, and amplification rate, and specifically what it is for Twitter versus Facebook you can see. And again, that bottom item measured on a quantity basis or absolute basis and the quality basis, and the quality is per follower. Next step in the engagement pyramid is the contributing stage. So at this point, your constituents start to provide more thoughtful and more habitual contributions. And there is, so we got a question from Annabelle about how many hashtags should you use. Is there a max? Yeah, so this is going off memory, but what you found is 1 hashtag, roughly double. Once you get to 3 and beyond, it goes down dramatically. So the sweet spot is actually 1 to 2. Great, so contributing, Facebook. So this is where, when we get to, we just moved from the engagement pyramid to contributing. And this is where we start to see the engagement pyramid narrow considerably when we're looking specifically at social media channels. So take this recent post from the American Heart Association. This post got 477 likes, 84 shares, and 7 comments. But when we take into consideration AHA's 375,000 Facebook fans, that means that only 0.13% of fans liked the post, 0.02% of fans shared the post, and 0.002% of fans commented. So in this specific case, only 1 in roughly 54,000 fans contributed a thoughtful comment. So what do? What are we doing to increase the engagement at the top end of the engagement pyramid for our contributors on up? And that question takes us to the next tool that we'll look at for building online engagement. And that tool is an online community or social website platform. An online community serves as a central hub to bring together your top supporters that have been observing, following, and endorsing your organization. It is your website or a part of your website. It's a place where you have 100% mind share with your constituents. And it provides your constituents with a customized set of capabilities for deeper engagement. From a feature function perspective, the capabilities include custom profiles and member data, discussions and knowledge sharing, collaboration groups, user-generated content, personalization, applications, workflows and approvals that can be automated to improve staff productivity, document collaboration, event organizing, much, much more, and the potential for strong SEO impact for open community pages. So some examples of communities are, here we see the volunteer community for UNICEF, we see the major donor community for the American Heart Association, we see the professional association member community, also for the American Heart Association, the event community, event participant community for American Cancer Society, mission support community for Caring Bridge, and then for smaller organizations where they feel like we're not big enough for community, running the entire website off of the community platform in the form of a social website, as is the case for the Texas School for the Deaf Foundation. So now, let's look back at the engagement pyramid. Again, the strength of social media is in the bottom phases, that observing, following, and endorsing, which are a bit passive in terms of overall engagement, but key for cultivation. But online communities also provide some capabilities that extend into these bottom phases, so we're going to look at them through this lens. So first of all, pages and sections of an online community can be set to be open. So for example, here I'm showing the discussion and video page from the Institute of Engineering and Technology, which is the largest professional membership association in the United Kingdom. And this openness not only helps with observers by giving them something to read and view, but it also drives greater traffic by improving SEO, or search engine optimization, so the rate at which your site appears in organic searches on search engines. And here's how that works. So more organizations are familiar with paid SEO and SEO optimization through paid consultants. And the way that works is you develop a small set of 1 to 5 to 10 keywords, and you spend a lot of money trying to improve the rate at which those keywords return the result of your website through doing some page modifications, but more a lot of black hat stuff going out to other sites and pointing links back. So in this situation, that paid SEO is concentrated at the very small number of keywords that are searched the most. So this part right here. However, over 70% of actual searches take place less than 50 times per month. And this is the long tail of search. And it's where most searches take place. And user-generated content, so those discussions that I just showed, the descriptions for those videos that I just showed, provide a wealth of related keywords for free that increase the likelihood of what are called exact term matches, which makes your organization and its pages appear at the top of these long tail searches. So that's pretty significant. Next, we'll look at the following stage. So an online community also gives visitors another reason to sign up and follow your organization, which can be extended with profile fields, which enables you to learn even more about your supporters and members. At the endorsing phase, there are opportunities to like and share all community content. Plus, and this is going back to the prior question about what are the recommended best practices about what types of buttons that we use, when users share from an online community, it builds awareness not only on those other social networks. So Jack Meyer shared to Twitter, and now it's on his Twitter account, but also inside of your own community. So here we're showing an actual activity stream from a community where we're tracking and amplifying internally within the community social sharing. So using your own community to build amplification and engagement. And plus, from a metrics perspective, all of this is trackable. So your organization has the data for who shared what and to where, giving you greater insights into whom your top endorsers are. So up to this point, we've been focusing on the masses. More people, but less engagement per person. As we move up the pyramid, you start to get greater contributions from each specific supporter and member. Communities provide multiple options for contributing, from discussions, which you see here an example from the American Heart Association's professional member community, to videos, which we saw previously on the IET community, to jobs, which we see here on the Primary Care Progress community. And here's one on the humorous side of things, where a member of the American Cancer Society's Relay Nation community has uploaded a photo which is a parody of the Gangnam Style scene. And while this might seem hokey, this type of stuff is great for generating social views and social shares, as well as building camaraderie amongst members, which increases energy and retention. At the owning phase, you're looking at options that enable your supporters to invite their friends and colleagues to join as well, which are available, as well as attracting and managing members, or in this case, volunteers. So Operation Smile is the international nonprofit that sends oral surgeons and nurses overseas to the developing world to perform surgeries that repair cleft palates for children. And using their online community they move potential volunteers through a 3-stage credentialing process. They approve qualified volunteers and match them with specific opportunities, in their case medical missions, that are comprised of groups of 50 to 30 persons. And Operation Smile also uses collaboration groups, another feature of the community platform, for each medical mission to help get their volunteers prepared by seeding each group with interactive background information for the trip, as well as photos of where they'll be going, the ability to ask questions and get answers beforehand, see a director of other people that they're going to be working with, and even manage post-trip evaluation forms online to help with quality control. So here is our post-mission evaluation. Here's what we think. And when you think about owning, in this case, these volunteers are really committing a lot to the organization's mission. And all of the recruitment and logistics for everything that we talked about are handled online in their community. At the top step of the engagement pyramid is leading. So here I'll use another example, one with a member of the Green Lights 501 community. So Green Lights is a membership-based organization that provides capacity services for the nonprofit sector. And this is Manuel. Manuel works at Bridgepoint Consulting, which is a financial advisory firm, and he's also involved with a few other organizations. He stated, and we know this from his community profile, that he's passionate about community involvement, education and research, environment, health, historical preservation, human services, and religion/faith-based causes. So he's the type of person that organizations want to get more involved and to become a leader. Here's Manuel helping lead a discussion about board development at nonprofits, providing his opinion that leading a strategic planning process is one of the best services that a new board can provide for a new or small organization. Here he's providing advice on the responsibilities of a board member versus the executive director. He's a tenured board member with a lot of great advice. Here he's responding, along with a number of other people, to a request for suggestions on how to make the most of an upcoming event, which is, in this case, the Green Lights Board Summit, an annual event. Here he's given input on how to set up QuickBooks for a nonprofit and provides a location where nonprofits can buy software online at discounts. Again, using his financial unique expertise. And here he's providing his perspective on a Harvard Business Review article on collaboration that was shared by the executive director of Greenlights. And these are just some of the ways that Manuel is helping lead others. And think about what it would mean to your organization to be able to develop leaders like Manuel. And Greenlights, using its community platform, recognizes its leaders and their participation. Members have the ability to earn points for participating in the community. So on the left here is a leaderboard from the 501 community's top contributors. And on the right, you can see some of the rewards that Greenlights gives to leaders as they hit certain milestones. So all this talk about contact forms, social media, online communities, and engagement, why does it matter? So a little while back, Mark Pittman, who's the founder of fundraisingcoach.com, asked a question on LinkedIn. And he asked, as a donor to charity, what do we nonprofits do that really annoys the tar out of you? And he received over 108 responses. And I've included one of those responses here, which is pretty emblematic of several. And the response is, quote, my biggest pet peeve is probably the lack of engagement for anything other than asking me for money. Much comes from my frustration as a donor that I'm not asked for my opinions, my dreams, my ideas. So whether your organization is a nonprofit charity that's looking for donors and volunteers, or a membership organization that's looking to increase membership dues or revenues, everything that we just went over today is geared to making a difference for the Hildy Gitlibs of the world out there. And it's not just your donors or your paid members or your customers, but all of your constituents. Here we look at the performance rate of a community digest email that was sent for the Scottish Rite, one of our clients, a membership organization. So this is an email that's sent about the online community, essentially taking community updates and pushing it out to people, bringing the community and what's been happening to them. Purely informational, no asks. It's not a solicitation. It's just an update on everything that's been happening in the Scottish Rites online community. And these emails, these community digests, have 3.4x the number of click-throughs as the industry average. And furthermore, we found that after including these emails in the Scottish Rite's overall online communication strategy, the open rate actually increased for their ask emails. And that's building community, because people now want to hear from you. And that engagement extends into all areas. So we found that the average online community member spends 300 to 900% more time on your organization's web presence, so including the community, plus the broader website that it's integrated with. And those same community members tend to refer 78% more supporters, constituents, members, contribute 437% more dollars to the organization. They are more loyal over the long term, remaining active paid members at a 49% higher level, and they tend to volunteer over twice as much. So if you're looking for true measurable impact, this is gold. And that concludes today's presentation. With that, we'll open it up for additional questions. I saw some queuing in during the last 15 minutes. Pardon for not stopping and answering them as we were going along. I wanted to make sure that we completed in time, but we'll go through those now. Also, if you'd like the original PowerPoint that includes all the data and all the information that we covered today, just send an email to Jeremy Demers. It's jdemers@smallworldlabs.com. You can see Jeremy's contact information up on the left, and he'll be sure to get it to you. Also, if there's anything that I, Michael Wilson, or we, Small World Labs, can do to help out you or your organization, please feel free to contact us as well. And the last item to point out before we get back to questions is that if you're interested in learning more about our online community platform, Small World Labs Community, we will have a product tour webinar that you can sign up for that will be next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can register at smallworldlabs.com. It's an inline form, not a button, on the front page. Great, and with that, we'll go back into, so if people have questions, go ahead and fire them away, and we'll start to go back to the ones that we had. So one question is from Matthew. When you do the analytic download from Facebook, there is so much that is tracked. A lot of it is not easy to understand. Is there a user download that Facebook provides? And why is it always downloaded from a 28-day length? Yeah, so you're, I empathize. So one, the 28-day length is when you're using, when your social media account belongs to Facebook. And so because of that, they set arbitrary rules about how they're going to do it, a little bit less, fewer options for flexibility and customization, and that's just going to be one of the several. When you do the download, so my input would be, when you do the download, yeah, they throw a bunch of data in there and they spread it out over a bunch of tabs. I look at what are the specific outcome metrics that you want to measure and just have very quick VLOOKUP or derived statistics from those, and then that way you can ignore the rest. Question is from Annabelle. Are Facebook paid ads worth it? Boosting to get more likes? It depends. It depends what the end conversion goal is and what the value of that goal is. So you want to think about. So everything that we talked about today is free. The Facebook options, the Twitter options. When you get into things that are paid, what you need to do is create a target value for how much is a new Facebook fan or a new Twitter follower, or what the end result is, and then you want to compare that versus your cost per conversion. And then, higher or lower, that's going to determine whether it is quote unquote worth it for your organization. I have a question from Pam. How do you create a community from your fans, followers, etc.? You would use an online community platform like what Small World Labs provides. So when we got into the last stage of the presentation that was about the top 3 stages in the engagement pyramid, those correlating to online community, that's actually what Small World Labs specializes in. So we'd be happy to reach out afterwards and see if we can get you more information to help you evaluate that. Next question is, what if you have a great online community built, but there are few members engaging? Do you have any suggestions on how to get more members interested, excited about it using? That's a whole webinar topic in and of itself. At Small World Labs, in our specific case, we have a community engagement team that specializes in doing exactly that. So they work directly with our clients, or primary point of contact our client, to do whatever it takes to make sure that success is achieved, whether that's acquisition, engagement, configuration, ROI analysis, or otherwise. But the number of techniques that you can use, whether you want to build concentrated engagement on few specific updates, or broader by using a member welcome program, there are multiple. But if you'd like to pick our brains, Jess, feel free to shoot us an email afterwards, and we can give you our bullets for our top ones. Next question is from Pam. Thanks. What is the best place to find out what the industry average open rate would be? Wow. So for ours, what we use, so some email clients, so for some of the emails that we send out, the email client that we use is MailChimp. It actually provides industry average information because they take all of the emails that are sent out under their platform, and all customers are put into industry segments, and that's how they can do that. There's likely, if we Googling, where you can get information if it's not provided by your email service provider. But if you want to know what the average industry open rate is for your industry, Pam, just shoot us an email and we'll confirm which industry you're in, and we can get you that data as well. Next question is from Dolores. Does this tool link up with larger CRM systems so that these leaders can be identified on the broader database for an organization? Dolores, thank you for the question. Absolutely. So we wanted this webinar to be much more informational and beneficial for everybody, regardless of what stage they were at, whether they were just using their website, social media, accounts, using an online community, or considering. And so we didn't provide that much detail about Small World Labs, our company, and the platform. But the Small World Labs platform has an open API, full public available. It's actually on our website at smallworldlabs.com/API that we use. Our default implementation is that we integrate the community with the CRM. So using our API, we can integrate with any CRM out there. We also have some productized pre-built implementation with a number of CRMs. Luminate CRM by Blackbaud, Sphere by Blackbaud, Salesforce, and others. Great. How about the social widget question? So, Kirk. So what we recommend actually, so the question there is, should I use an aggregator, add this, or should I use Facebook, Facebook's specific share widgets or Twitter's, and then the option that we put out there is, or use one created by your community partner. The answer is the following. So the benefit of using if you have an online community, or you're considering an online community, Small World Labs has that built in. I would use that definitely. You have control over what the images look like, so what the share images are, so you can get personalization, and you get full tracking. You get tracking out, and you get tracking on your side of who shared what. When you use the other tool, when you use, I can add this, or even if you use Facebook, you don't get that tracking data with it. You understand how much of what was shared, but you don't know exactly by whom. Now, the decision, so what I'd say first overall is I would use the community platform social sharing widget. If you're not a Small World Labs client and you're considering between the two, the difference is really just going to be in the appearance. So the aggregators like add this, share this, add to any are going to be easier because they just auto manage it. It's all together. But you're stuck with the appearance options that they give you in terms of how do those social sharing buttons look, versus if you like one that is provided by Facebook and is larger. So I know that's an it depends question, but based on those two things, which is most important, that's how I'd make the decision. Lisa, Andrea, Pamela, thank you for the thanks. I'm glad you liked the presentation. There's a question of, was the webinar recorded? Love to be able to go back in and reference some of the content from Angela. Yes, we are recording today's webinar, so we can provide that information to you as well. And again, a reminder, if you shoot us an email, we'll also send you the slides so that you'll have the data that we went over included as well. A little bit faster to click forward and back. Next question from Gail is, if you've been posting to Facebook irregularly, how do you break beyond EdgeRank? If you post so the things to note are the updates and whether it appears in one of your fans' news streams depends upon affinity, activity, and decay. And I mentioned that modification that Facebook made most recently, which was called Last Actor, Last 50, but that's only one component of it. So that one component, Last Actor, means the more often that you're getting engagement from your followers, the more likely your subsequent updates are going to appear in their news stream. But that's only one of many. If you're just starting out, a couple of things are: one, increase your fan base. That's the potential that you have. And then the second is to increase the activity or engagement that your update has. So if you just post an update and it doesn't have any likes, or it doesn't have any comments, or it doesn't have any shares, the likelihood that that is going to appear is very, very, very low. But if you post updates, and you can even, to some degree, using staff, seed the initial engagement, that can start to bump those posts to appear in a subset of your followers, and if it builds engagement there, builds out even more. So, hope that helps. Next question from Kevin. How do you know if you have a big enough following to create enough momentum for an online community? So, good question. Well, all of these are good questions. The answer is there is no minimum size. So, all things being equal, larger is better, but that's not always the case. So the value of a community and the value of a community to each individual person is a product of affinity. So how much are the other people in the community like me and important to me? Capability, what can I do there? And then number, how many of these people are there that I can do this with? But we have examples of successful communities under 1,000 people, some under 200, that are hyper-targeted, where that affinity factor, where how relevant and important is each person to the other, are off the charts. So no minimum there. That being said, the smaller the target audience that you have, the more specific you want to make the community so that that affinity and that purpose is much higher. Next question from Kirk is, how can you effectively build a community and provide relevant content to a specific segment on a multi-segment platform such as Facebook? Yeah, I don't think it's possible. So I can talk about the Small World Labs community platform. Specifically, there we've got personalization and segmentation type capabilities where you can deliver those messages or announcements through multiple delivery methods. What appears on the screen, light boxes, community member-to-member messages, or email. That capability exists. I don't think in Facebook or Twitter you have that ability. Now, if you pay for it and you do ads, you can do hyper-targeting in ads. So Facebook gives you good capabilities there when you're paying for it. But in terms of the free updates and all of that, I'm not aware of any way to do that. Next question, Laura, running out of time. Will the Q&As be available through email? They won't be available through email, but they will be available as a part of the webinar recording. Then from Laura, thank you for the webinar. Thank you. Kevin, I'm glad you liked the answer. Well, everybody, listen, that wraps up the last of the questions. So, again, I want to thank everybody who joined us today. Again, purpose here was to make sure, I know we covered a lot of information, but the purpose there was to make sure that each of you had at least one thing, and hopefully several, that you could take away today back to your organization and put to use. Again, if you want to get more information about Small World Labs, how we could help you, a copy of this slide deck, send an email to Jeremy Demers. His contact information is up on the left. If there's anything that we as a company or that I can do to help your organization, if you're thinking about community or just have questions about today's content, feel free to send me an email. And then if you're looking more generally at, hey, I'd like to learn more about the Small World Labs platform, register on our website. You can do it right now, www.smallworldlabs.com, and it's up on the right for our product tour, which will be next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So thanks again, everybody, and hope you have a good day.